Don't worry, friends, I'm going to be very brief, okay? Because it's been a long day, and it's been a very rich day of discussions and so on. So we really don't want to prolong it. I suppose one thing that I would like you to think about is, I came to Malaysia first in 1982 to actually work in the EPU on income distribution questions. So one thing one might think about, one might frame it is, how are things different today than they were in 1982, 35 years? That's how I think about this thing. How are they different in the global context, and how are they different in the Malaysian context? And I think we've had a lot of inputs to that, to answering those sorts of questions. Since global is more my bag, here are ways in which things are different globally. The technological trends are clearly very different now than they were 35 years ago. The global trends of inequality, which Arjun Jaydev laid out, are very, very different than they were 35, 40 years ago. The percentage of global inequality that is explained by within-country inequality is now much higher than it was 35 years ago. We actually have more data available to us than we did 35 years ago. Although, as somebody said, access may be an issue, may continue to be an issue in some countries. But we have actually a lot of new data, and the sort of analysis that Arjun presented would not have been possible, actually, 35 years ago. He said he has access, they've used 1,000 surveys, and I bet you most of them are actually from the last 30-odd years or so. So there's been a tremendous explosion of data. And also, of course, concern about inequality has risen in the last 35 years in a way that hasn't. But there are some things which are the same. We still use the Gini coefficient, and we still say it's an aggregate measure, but you have to disaggregate it, and so on and so forth. Those debates haven't changed. And they will continue because they're fundamental debates in some sense. And I suppose the second thing which hasn't changed, and this was alluded to by Andrew Sheng and Jomo and others, is the need for a national compact, is the need for a national conversation and a national agreement to say this is the direction in which we should go. Because ultimately these distributional questions are political, social questions. And I suppose what we had in the new economic plan in NEP was that sort of a social compact which arose out of a crisis. And the question is, what will the new social compact be? And are we going to need a crisis to have that social compact, not just for Malaysia, but for many other countries and globally? So with that, let me just draw this thing to a close, and let me thank Tuanku for your presence here. Thank, of course, KRI for the marvelous organization of this conference, and I hope that it provides a platform for further discussion, not just in Malaysia, but actually globally. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Kanbur. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the Khazanah Nasional Berhad and Khazanah Research Institute seminar, Malaysian Income Distribution in a Global Context. We hope you've enjoyed the sessions and topics crafted specially for this session. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could please remain seated until our VIPs at the front row have left the hall.